Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for another episode of Foundation Fest, and today I am checking out via a sample the Very Valentino, oh, what is this name? Light lasting something or other. 24-hour light lasting liquid foundation. It is SPF 26, I believe, and it comes in 40 different shades. Retails for $67 for 1 ounce or 30 milliliters of product. Description: a semi-matte foundation that perfectly balances 3 foundation dreams: buildable coverage, breathable texture, and long-lasting up to 24-hour wear. This has exclusive light-lasting trademark technology, delivers buildable medium coverage that is hydrating and transfer resistant. It's available in 40 inclusive shades that were tested on 5,000 women to ensure a perfect finish from the lightest to the deepest shades. I looked through the ingredients. It does have denatured alcohol fairly high up in the ingredient list. I believe it was in the first 5 ingredients. Yeah, it's the 4th ingredient. So if you are sensitive to denatured alcohol or you find it to be drying on you, then that could be an issue. I'm not sensitive to it. I do have dry skin, but be aware that in a proper formulation, like if a company has really formulated their product well, you can have denatured alcohol such that it won't be drying. It gives you the effect of helping the foundation to dry down more quickly when you apply it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be drying to the skin if they formulated it well enough in the amounts that the other ingredients balance out any potential dryness, or the formulation works to combat that. So that's not an automatic no in my book, just because I'm not sensitive to it. But it also does have added fragrance ingredients toward the bottom of the list. It's in the bottom 10 ingredients or so. It just appears like it's a silicone-based foundation. So the shade that I've got in my sample here is... it has a bunch of letters. Where's my Sherlock? I already forgot. It is LIGR1, which, you know, I can't figure out what LIGR stands for. Because all the other ones are like LN for light. I don't know what it stands for. But the shade is described as for very light skin with cool undertones. So let's take a look at shade LIGR1, swatched against a few others in my collection. Swatch time. Now, I know it is very hard to see the swatch that is right here. Right there. But hopefully you can tell the undertone. That is today's foundation, the Very Valentino in LN3. And it is just a smidge darker than the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place in 1C1 Cool Bone. So I would say it's probably 1 shade in their 40 shades darker than what I would typically choose. Third up, we've got MAC Studio Sculpt in NW15. And last is the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator in Fair. Now, the Wet n Wild, I would say, is a shade darker than the first shade that we're going to talk about for the Very Valentino. The, I can't remember what the letters were. LIGR1. So you'll see in a minute. The first shade I try is a little too light, and it's a little lighter than the Wet n Wild. And the second shade that I've got, it works for me right now because I still have a little sun on my arms, but I would say it's 1 shade too dark for me. So if you're shopping for shades based on my matches, I would go 1 lighter than this one. I've already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened this 48-year-old face. Wow, I was trying to figure out why everything's so bright. My mirror was set to like massive brightness. All right, let me make sure you guys can still see me. Holy cow. All right, fixing things. All right, we should be good. I'm like, why does it look like there's a dungeon behind me, but my face is glowing? I know, I'm filming this on Halloween. Happy Halloween! But I was a bit concerned, and now I figured it out. Everything's fine. Cleanse, moisturize, sunscreen this 48-year-old face. I have primed with the Caloray Soblone, one of my new favorite primers. It's just so nice and hopefully we will not have any drying issues. Now, this is like the smallest sample of life that they've provided. Although this sample card is really nice. I got it from Sephora, and it's got multiple shades in it all across their range. So bravo for developing a sample like that. I'm hoping that this sample is enough to get one full wear out of the product. So they do say to apply with fingertips for a more sheer coverage or with a brush for a more full makeup look. And so I'm going to attempt the brush. There's not much product in here, so I'm going to go and try. We might end up sheer anyway, just because of the small amount of product in this sample. We're going to try, though, guys. We are going to try. Might as well just fingertip it, because we don't have a lot of product to work with. All right, I'm trying to do half and half, but I don't want to go too far with the half and half and then not have enough product for the other half of my face. I'm not going to use it as concealer today. This has an interesting texture to it. It feels, how do I describe this? Well, here's about a half and half. Sheer coverage, I would say it actually still is doing some redness correction. This is probably my winter shade. I'd probably go one shade darker normally if I were choosing my shade, but this will work, I think. It's almost like a silky powder feeling to it. Straight away, like right away when you apply it, which is interesting because it goes on like a liquid, but it has a, oh, it's a really smooth, imagine the, oh, it's got a scent to it too. There's fragrance for sure. Imagine, like, you know the softest baby powder? Like, when you use baby powder and it just feels so good. Like, that's kind of what this is reminding me of. It's got a very nice, soft, powdery finish to the feel. Feels really nice. I do have some peeling going on around my nose and around my mouth, so... Oh, and it found all of it right here and on my chin. I didn't realize I had so much going on my chin, but apparently I do. I'm going to take as much left as I can and try to get a little more coverage here. This sample is really only enough to test a very sheer application of this product. But it's okay, because we're going to make it work. This feels so nice. Like, I seriously want to pet myself. You know, this is actually looking really nice on my texture. As in, I can't see as much of my texture as normal, which is nice. All right. I think I've gotten everything I can get off of this packet. I can't really test buildability because I don't have enough product to do so. I could, I guess, go into the next shade. Should we do that? It did say it's slightly warm undertone, but I think it's for light warm undertone. All right, I am going to go into the second shade here, which is LN3. And I'm only going to use it where... Actually, that might even be a closer shade match for me. Where I need a little bit more coverage. I'm going to get a little more on my forehead. Because I feel like the forehead, yeah, this shade might be a little bit better for me. This does not give me enough product to really give it a full workup. But I really like how this feels. Like, I almost feel like it's like a soothing skincare kind of a feeling to it. Alright, let's get the rest of this one. I got a little bit more I can scrape off of here. Let's try to get my blue blood vessel covered up. Alright, alright. This feels super nice. Now, I already had sunscreen on my face before I sat down to do my makeup. I would never recommend using just this very small amount of product for your sunscreen if you were trying to rely on this as your only sunscreen. So, yeah. All right. I think we are blended in and nice. Let's zoom in and get a look at this one. Now, I will say, I am going to take my tweezers and try to peel some of the peelies that I got going on my chin that have made themselves obvious since I applied this. But generally speaking, it does a really nice job with texture. I do like how smooth and natural it looks. They call it semi-matte. And I would agree, it doesn't add really any luminosity to the skin, but it also doesn't look dry in terms of it doesn't look like I've dried out my skin or added any kind of powder finish to it. It looks quite nice in the finish. I would probably call this a satin natural if I were describing it. But they call it semi-matte, and I think that is also an accurate description. It is clinging to my peelies, but that's about the only negative thing that it is doing right now. It does look quite nice, and even it's only clinging to the major peelies. It's not doing too bad on everything else. Really like the texture of it. Like, it feels so smoothing. Like, my skin to my tactile touch feels smooth. I'm digging that. That's unusual. It's like it's an interesting texture to me, but I like it. Let's see how this goes. Check the time. It is I almost got it exactly 1 o'clock. It just changed. 1:01. Let me go put the rest of my face on. I will be right back. Back with the very Valentino. Ziva's eating plastic behind me. I am testing out a concealer today, the By Terry, so I'm filming them both the same day. I had no trouble with blending anything together, concealer, foundation, everything went fine. Oh, you gotta stop this, Ziva. You are being too noisy. Too noisy. Where was I? I want to tell you something about the way, so you know how when I applied the foundation, I said it felt like a nice smooth powder, like that beautiful baby powder feeling, like that just really soft, smooth. Anyway, when I blended my bronzer and blush on top, applied more powder, they did this like nice, beautiful diffusion thing that I'm using the exact same products, my busted old Flower Beauty bronzer, my Flower Beauty blush, my same brushes. My bronzer brush is the BK Beauty 102. My blush brush is the Wayne Goss number 02. Same brushes I use every single day. And I just felt like as soon as I swiped on, like it was like that finish did some beautiful things to the rest of the powder finishes on my face. I don't know. It was a moment. I had a moment. I wish I was filming at the time because I was kind of blown away. So that's a thing. That's a thing that I have. I don't know if I've ever experienced that before. I mean, I've had products that blend beautifully, but like this seemed to help the powders I blended on top of it look even more beautifully blended, diffused, much less work. I don't know. It was something. I was like, what? So that's a thing. I'm gonna go about the rest of my day. I feel like it looks like I'm filming at nighttime. It is so gloomy outside right now. It's so dark out right now. I will hopefully get a daylight check-in. I assume we're gonna have some light. It's still 1 something in the afternoon. But I will come back with a daylight check-in, and then I will come back tonight, give you guys my final thoughts. Hey guys, I feel like it's been forever since I did a check-in here outside at work. It's about 6 p.m. right now, so it's been about 5 hours, and everything seems to be holding up fine. Blush, bronzer, highlight still intact. I think that combination of colors worked best, so that tells me that darker shade was probably too dark on its own, but mixed with that lighter shade. So I would aim for somewhere right in between those two if you're picking a a shade to start from scratch, but there's where we're at right now. And I'll be back tonight and we'll wrap this one up. 11:52 p.m. See, it says I'm supposed to be asleep. Let's take a look at how the Very Valentino foundation held up. Now, I know that we were only able to go with a sheer application because of the little amount of product that was provided in this sample, but I do think I was able to test it and get a good feel for how it works, and it's a good thing that I'm filming this the day before I get access to the Sephora sale now, isn't it? Because I might have to buy this one. Yeah, so let's talk about it. It's very comfortable. I almost went to bed without filming this. Like, I almost washed my face. I was reaching for my washcloth and I was like, oh, wait a minute. So very, 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 very comfortable. I think it is also hydrating. I know denatured alcohol is way up in the ingredient list, but like I said, it is possible to formulate things with that ingredient where the formula is done right and it doesn't become drying to the skin. Avoid it if you have sensitivities to it, but if you don't, it's not necessarily an automatic rule out kind of ingredient. I'd rather it not there, but if they formulated it well, then it's serving a purpose without having its negative impact. And the reason I feel like my skin is probably more hydrated than when I started is that the flakes, the exfoliating peels that I have going on my skin, hydrated kind of back into my skin. Some of them are still there, but you know how over time, over the course of a day, if your skin is getting more dehydrated, maybe I just know this because I peel all the time, but when your skin is getting more dehydrated as the day goes on, then those peels become more obvious, more peely, more peeling, and they didn't do that. So I feel like enough moisture was kept at the surface of my skin to prevent that from happening. So that is a good thing. So I think if you have dry skin, this is just fine. If you have maturing skin, I did not have any issues with the product settling into lines or moving around. Let's zoom in and get a look at just how it's held up. I mean, we are what, 10 hours into this day-long test. I did have to blow my nose many times today, so ignore what's missing on my nose because that was caused by user interaction. Blush bronzer are still very well intact, and that to me says it pretty much stayed put in those places, including my forehead. My chin has lost a little bit of coverage, but that was kind of the problem area with the peeling to begin with. My forehead, I think, actually looks better than it did when we started, mainly because I am not seeing as much of the peeling on my forehead as I was able to see when we started this morning. So that's part of the reason why I think the hydration levels are pretty good with this one. And generally speaking, I think it just held up well. Nothing moved around. Nothing is caking up or gunking up. It's held up pretty doggone well. So if I had to give a grade to the Very Valentino, oh, it's better than I thought it was going to be. Should I be generous? I'm going to go low A. I was originally thinking A minus, but I think I'm going to go A. I think we're going to go like a 96A. And I am going to buy the full size of it. And then if my opinions change one way or the other, I will keep you guys posted and let you know. But I really, really like the feeling of this foundation. Just that smoothing diffusion thing it was doing, the hydration, the fact that I can wear it when I'm peeling so badly, those are big things for me because about every 7 weeks I peel like a snake. So there you have it. Another episode of Foundation Fest is in the books. If you like foundation reviews, if you had fun with this one, give me a thumbs up down below. Comments, let me know which foundations do you want me to buy. I will grab them every chance I get and add them to my list if I can't get them right away. And I pick from that list. The more requests I get, I keep hash marks next to every time one of you says, hey, can you review this? Can you do this? Can you do this? I keep a list. I keep a running list and I buy them whenever I can. So let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't checked the foundation spreadsheet, I actually have a spreadsheet, almost 300 reviews. I gotta look, we're pretty close to 300 at this point. But I keep a running list where you can see it all ranked, sortable, searchable. That's at geekoutofwater.com. Click the Foundation Fest link. Check all of them out. There are links back to the original reviews, and all the data is in the spreadsheet. As always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. I appreciate your time, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.